Well, in recent weeks, green just seems to be exploding everywhere. Plein air season is here, and I'm checking over my setup. Anxious to get out and do anything, draw anything. I also wanted to check out this little Demi palette. This is from Coryell-Martin. If you remember, I did an interview with her. She has the art toolkit at arttoolkit.com and her site Expeditionary Art. Really cool lady and really cool products. Anyway, I wanted to try this out. This is pre-filled with Daniel Smith. You can get them empty also. But she sent this along to me to try out, and it's a nice little 6-color split primary palette, and I'm anxious to give it a try. Just one of many things I'm kind of anxious to give a try as our plein air season seems to be upon us. So getting my Etcher slate satchel packed up here, and I won't go into that. I've already done a review on that. I'll have all the links below if you want to check it out. Yeah, we're all set. Let's go out and see what we can find. Now, if you decide to go out and do some plein air, just don't look any further than your yard or a local park if you don't have a yard, or maybe just the vegetation surrounding a parking lot. Who knows? You don't want to overthink plein air, especially when you're just getting into it for the year. Go out and get to know a tree, and that's what I'm doing today. We're going to work in the Hahnemühle watercolor sketchbook, this time the gray one. Still trying these out, and I'm going to try out a bunch of things. And I will be watercoloring that. I decided I'm just going to paint in this as though it were white. I mean, it's a very light gray, but it will give me the opportunity to use some gouache for highlights. But for the most part, I'm just going to paint and do a portrait of a tree. And I decided to approach this, since it is a non-cotton sketchbook, I don't get very wet with them. I kind of paint them in an almost jigsaw puzzle fashion, very dry. It's a good way to paint in non-cotton or pulp-based sketchbooks anyway. So as I try to piece this scene together, I'm kind of jumping from foreground to background. Here's the tree I'm painting or using as sort of a jumping off point. I'm pretty much editing it as I go and just using a lot of artistic license, but it's giving me the clues I need for contrast and color, value. When I say don't overthink plein air, I mean don't wait for all the stars to line up. Don't wait for the perfect scene to come to mind. Just go out and paint something. If you've spent much time around this channel, you know how much I love trees. And the thing about trees is they're as varied and unique as a person or a portrait. So I think of trees oftentimes as going out and painting a portrait of a tree. It's a good time also to practice simplifying those foliage canopies, trying to bring order to usually a very chaotic scene. Granted, trees are very chaotic, but as I mentioned, I'm jumping from sort of foreground to background and then bringing in the tree values for the tree trunk and the limbs. You'll see all that as I go. But as I paint these things, and when I talk about a portrait, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for character. There's character in every limb. There's character and design in just the way the foliage groupings line up. And of course, you're the artist. You can move those and kind of make them flow and interlock in however ways you wish. Whatever way you want to see them line up. It's one of the neat things about trees. They're kind of forgiving in one sense, but they pose a big challenge because of how chaotic all the leaf patterns are. So you have to find ways to simplify that, obviously. And it just takes practice. There's no real clue or trick, I guess you might say. Combine similar values. Don't paint all the details in those similar values. Keep the details to the edges. I enjoyed in this little snippet of landscape, also trying to push back the woods behind it and indicate some depth. So I'm bringing in some of those vertical tree trunks back there. But it was just great being outside and painting from nature again. So being that this is a toned sketchbook, I decided to bring some gouache in towards the top where sky might be showing through. And that's what you're seeing me do here. It's not a very dark gray, so you need almost pure white to show up. And in cases like that, and this is where toned sketchbooks usually work best with drawings or monochromatic kind of high contrast renderings. However, you can do this kind of painting too, obviously. But now on the other side, I decided to use water-soluble graphite. This is my Caran d'Ache Technolo set. There are 4 graphite pencils, just standard graphite, and 3 tinted graphite. I'll put a link below to another sketch video I did using these pencils. But I really decided to do a lot of experimentation on this one. And there will be a fuller video for patrons for this one. I'm going to jump right to the end here. And these 2 sketches made for a real enjoyable day. Alright, so here's where we ended up. This is the watercolor and the Demi palette. It's a nice little mixing palette. And you can see the gouache I put up here. Not a lot because, again, this gray is just not real dark. But I wanted there to be a lighter sky, so I ended up putting that in there. Back in the studio, I did tweak some of these foliage groupings with some highlight gouache. More of an experiment than anything. All in all, I painted this pretty much the way I would have painted it in a regular white sketchbook, with the exception of that white gouache up there. And this is the other one. Patrons, there will be a fuller video on this. This is the Caran d'Ache water-soluble graphite set. And involved both the color tinted graphite and the regular graphite. I did a lot of experimentation with this. I used everything from a little bit of liner, black liner in some places, to ballpoint pen, to I tried gel pen, white gel pen, some white marker. I was just trying a bunch of things. A lot of things that I hadn't tried in a while, and some white products that I haven't used in a while, just to see what showed up better on this paper. The white gel pen, as usual, stood out really well, showed up really well. I liked the Faber-Castell white marker for some subtleties. And some of that's not on video, that's why I'm talking about it. I even used some white colored pencil, so that was kind of an experiment. But I'll do a video, Sketchbook Peaks video for you patrons on that one. All right, thanks everybody, I appreciate it. Get out there and do some plein air. Get to know a tree. It's as simple as that. Thank you so much, patrons. I appreciate your support so much, and we'll see everybody in the next video. Bye-bye.